And welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak, number 134 for August 26, 2021. And tonight we have another guest. Well, we have the same guest we've had on before, but Dan the Man.
What a great intro!
Yeah, I haven't hosted in a while, so hey,
here's this guy we found.
Yeah, it's this guy like right above me here, you know. From Canada, so we won't hold that against him either, you know. So Dan, say hi to everybody and
hello.
Give them a little bit about yourself for people that don't know who you are.
Yeah, so I am Dan, the Canadian computer collector, and as you can see, I enjoy collecting computers. And also, you know, I think I in the past have mentioned I like things like Minecraft and a well-folded box. But I don't want to get too far into my likes and interests.
Don't get too personal there, Dan. I mean, come on. You gotta save an illusion for some people.
Glass of water, you know.
I don't think Steve was here for our discussion about.
I think we
folded
know
boxes.
everything we need to know about Dan right now. It's very comprehensive.
Do you enjoy oxygen, sir?
Yes, most of the time, yeah.
All right, guys. Everybody doing good this week? Anybody doing anything special or anything?
Not as much
about?
as Steve. Steve been busy.
Yeah, I want to take a nap. I'm tired.
Me too.
Spending all that time with what's his name over at Computer Clan there, Ken.
It's literally
What
part
a
of his
gracious
channel,
host.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I did a collaboration with Ken. A few of them. The first one was released today about his Next Cube, so check out the Computer Clan for that. It's a lot of fun. We didn't break anything too badly, so that was nice. And I just did a video that I was releasing, premiering, when was it? 2 hours ago, whenever it was. So that was Vintage Apple Basics, and that was a lot of fun. But that was something I wanted to do for a long time, because that was sort of why I did my channel, because there was no real good how-to getting started stuff for the vintage stuff. So that's going to be a thing.
So, Steve, I watched that whole video, and I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I want to get into vintage Mac collecting. What should I buy?
You should buy anything that I'm going to sell you. How about that?
I wouldn't buy anything he's selling. None of it works.
No, like I said in the video, any of the compacts are pretty good, unless they're it depends on the condition. If you find one working, that's great. The
Can I browse
early
the
ones
web with those?
Well, yeah, sure. If you like text-based browsers, that's fine. And we can have a long chat about that, Bruce.
Yes.
You're going to be on the next episode just asking those questions. I'm going to be like, for the last time, Bruce.
Yep. All right. Anybody else got anything going on that they want to share before we head out into our news?
Well, I think Dan just you have these milestones when you're on YouTube, and at some point you become way too high profile to hang out with anyone else. That's why Dan is currently here, because he's almost there but not quite. So I think he just got 500 subs.
That's right, yeah. And
All
actually, you know what? I think we're up to 540 now at this point. Something is happening. I don't know.
So he gets more subs in a day than I
I'm
do in a year.
going to give you a hint. It's probably because everybody that comes on the Mac Yak usually gets above that 1K real quick and then goes way above us. So,
well, I appreciate it. You guys are like the launch pad. This is mission control.
Exactly,
right
for everybody, but we just can't.
Everybody but us.
Yeah,
I've been
everybody
on Mac
but
Yak
us.
at least 130 times, and I'm still not there.
Yeah. Well, Jay, you actually got to do some content. So
I do content recently.
Recently,
Actually,
You're one to
to
talk,
that
Greg.
content.
I haven't done anything, and I'm not complaining about my subs though.
My next video, I'm obligated to wear the flame shirt because Dan said so.
Absolutely.
Actually, I was calling attention to how I couldn't see the flame shirt in your background right now, but I'm glad to hear you still have it.
It's probably being
of course
washed.
I have it. I kind of moved away from the flame shirt because it's too hot for that. I prefer the cotton now. So, we'll get there.
The shirt is so hot. Must be the flames.
Yeah,
It
maybe.
increases the temperature in the room just instantly.
Yep. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to our news tonight.
Look at that. Some truth right there.
Yeah. First thing is Low End Mac website is back online. So I'm going to.
Is that good?
Who's got this one?
Yay!
Okay, go ahead, Jay.
The website is back online. Yeah.
Yeah.
We ran into some issues with the domain registrar. The previous owner of the domain no longer really feels like being involved, so it was handed off to someone else who paid the bill, got everything back online, corrected the DNS entries, and the site is back. Now it's been paid. I think. Excuse me. It's been paid for the next 2 years, I believe. So we have plenty of time to figure out what direction the site is going to go in. The focus will likely stay the same. It's not suddenly going to turn into a Mac Pro page or whatever. It's still going to be low-end Mac.
It better be.
Look at redesigning the page a little and make it more accessible to older systems and their old browsers and stuff. But now that it's back online, we got some time to start brainstorming and figure out how we can best improve the site. So it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite resources. I've been going there since, God, I don't even know how long. I mean, it's just an excellent resource of just like fact-checking dates and news and specs and stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of these places take the information from Low End Mac or Every Mac or one of these sites. So it's good to know that one of those sites is not going away.
The first time I went to that site was in 1999, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was around back then. And that's where I got the information I needed to overclock my then 2-day-old G3 blue and white. And I used tinfoil and everything to overclock at 50 megahertz. I'm pretty sure that was Low End Mac where I got the information. So.
But it sounds like Low End Mac is doing it a lot better than some other site we will not mention here tonight.
Yeah,
right?
because even if we didn't have what we currently have, we did have backups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just important that those sites stick around because there's a lot of things that are only referenced on that page. I think they had drivers for that Daystar card that I fixed up for Sean of Action Retro. They actually had them. It wasn't on their current site. It was on one of the archive.org like images. But they linked to a page that linked to a page that linked to a page, and that's how I found it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So is that it on Low End Mac?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I was distracted
no, that's fine.
Dana being Dana.
I know. Okay.
Get back to work, Dana.
We're going to start off with our topics tonight. First topic of the evening is what if you could create a new application today for use on vintage Macs? What would it be?
I have a question about that topic, though, because I wasn't entirely sure. Is that create an app today for my vintage Macs, or back in the 80s and 90s?
That's correct. So the idea being, the premise behind this being that you've got your vintage Macs, you've got access to all of this old software. Yeah. What if you could actually make some new software today to run on an old, OS 9, OS 8, whatever the case may be?
I see. I would want Disk Warrior for Mac OS 9.
I think it exists, doesn't it?
Does it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Disk Warrior's been around for a while.
That was my
idea. I think
idea.
Disk Warrior's been around since System 7, I think.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Crazy. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's been around since at least OS 8.
You could tell Jay hasn't thought about this topic much.
I haven't been using Mac since OS 8. So back then, I was still one of those new users, afraid to touch stuff.
Afraid to break things.
At the end of the day, this is a topic that will probably last for about 2.5 seconds, and we'll move on. It was just something that the reason why it came to mind was someone asked me recently, do you have the ability or the skills to develop software for old Macs? And I said, well, yes, I do. I mean, I've got things like Code Warrior, and I've got Real Basic. I've got these that all run under those operating systems, but obviously you just don't launch them anymore. I don't fire them up or anything. But in theory, I could go in and create some brand new software today to run on an old vintage Mac. And it just sort of made me think, what would be something that people might like if they're using their old computers and think, I really wish this piece of software existed.
Since my answer sucked, I'm gonna go with that's your brother, right?
That's right.
Invading
That's
our
Dave.
chat. I think it's brilliant. An ad blocker that works without bogging your whole system down. I'm all for that.
Yeah,
That's funny
totally
when
something to make your old machine browse the web a bit better. I know there's like these Raspberry Pi gateways and stuff like that, but it'd be cool if there's something on the machine itself.
When I originally read the show topic, I thought you meant create an app now for use with Vintage Macs. And the first thing that came to mind is I know there's a similar thing for like Magic Cards and things like that. But software where you take a photograph of your item and the AI identifies it and then gives you the range of values. Something like that would be pretty nifty.
That's how Skynet was born. But
That's the computer's like, how dare you make me evaluate and sell my own kind?
I like what Sean is mentioning, the a bridge for a modern chat. There is a bit of a way to do that with like an IRC bridge. I did a video on that. I mean, technically you might be breaking some terms of service, but hey, who cares?
yeah, I think Macintosh Garden has some kind of bridge like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it's one of those things you could download the source code of whatever. I think it's Brisbee or there's a B name in it, something weird.
That narrows it down.
Yeah, I did a video about it. I don't have to remember about it.
There's
anymore.
a B
You can
name,
go find
right?
it. And basically, you can set up your own bridge if you had the wherewithal to do that. So
I like Justin's suggestion, port OBS to PowerPC.
if you want to
That
see
would
the
be cool.
Q5 melt,
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want it to melt, yeah.
you just have a what do they call it, Jay? The your X grid, just
Oh yeah.
Just got to run it real lean, just like it doesn't show you any output.
it's just audio. It's like one image per minute and then audio, real high quality audio though. That's what you get.
It's like live photo shows.
You got a QuickTime broadcaster, just bring that back.
Now, one of the things I would like to do is actually make a Discord client for some of the old Power PCs.
Discord
Because-
barely runs on my 12-core Mac Pro.
No, it runs, dude. It barely breaks a sweat on my 12 core. I mean,
Oh no, this thing is a mess of code.
well, you're running more than just, you're running what? How many virtual machines on there and everything else?
6. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
I'm looking at just what's it called again? Discord. Let me see.
Did Ventrilo ever run on PowerPC?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, we used to use it.
Oh,
when
gosh,
we played UT.
I used to love Vent. Yeah, when I was playing Counter-Strike, we constantly used Ventrilo. Back
Discord
in the
is
day.
just sitting there. It's using 10% of my CPU. 10%.
I'm curious what mine's using. Now we're all looking at our systems. This is very good.
I generally like
activity
to
monitor.
I like to jump across onto the Vintage Macs to avoid all the chat apps.
Yeah.
So
So,
That's a
all right,
good,
this is a stupid topic. Let's move on.
It's not a stupid topic.
No,
Even
no.
though I've been looking at it for the last 3 days in the notes, I just can't think of anything
I would like
significant.
a lot of the things I would have liked are actually becoming reality. I mean, you have things like FrogFind and 68k.news that help you browse the web on older devices. There's a thing that Christian from Macintosh Garden's working on where you could upload like System 6 screenshots and it converts the picked file to a more modern thing. There's a lot of this cool stuff going on. I'm trying to think of, I mean, a chat thing would be nice, but I have the IRC bridge thing, so I don't really... what I would really like is a good screen sharing app. I know there's some legacy VNC stuff for OS 9, but it would be really cool if I could like have like a very basic one running on. I mean, there's the one for Tiger and Leopard, but if you had one for OS 9, like a viewer that actually didn't crash every 5 seconds, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. Yep. I would
Mike,
agree
you
with
need to
that.
shave, dude.
So
I'm just sticking out.
Jay, I just looked at my Discord. It's only using 0.9% of my.
Mine's 0.2. So
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So
Actually, I thought of one thing. The memory compression that modern versions
Oh yeah,
versions
Mavericks,
of OS 10
yeah.
uses. I would love to have that on my G3 or G4 so that the 1 or 2 gigs would be a lot more useful.
Oh, come on. The's RAM doubler. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, that worked so well.
And if you launch RAM Doubler twice, you get quadruple the memory.
And if you launch it 3 times,
You crash your system.
yeah,
The universe implodes.
exactly.
Mac Yak goes dark. Oh my god, he opened it another instance.
So, any other apps we could think of before we move on, or
I just say before we leave, the number one Ventrilo memory that I have is, I think everyone has this as well, is every once in a while, you know how it would announce every user that arrived? Someone would have a name that was like 400 characters long. And so they'd arrive and it would just start saying each letter in their name. And
This
just
kind of
keep
stunts is
going
why
and
we
going.
turned that feature off.
Yes.
Like you're in the middle of a heated, what was it called? Medal of Honor game at the time, and one of those clowns comes into the channel.
Like,
No.
user
Distracts everybody.
WZXXYXY1.
all right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next topic tonight. Next one is,
I
what non-Apple branded electronics or devices do you enjoy tinkering with?
Well, I'll start
with
us
you,
off,
JC.
GT.
Well, there's several different ones. I mean, these guys thought I was going to talk about ham radio, but I actually
You're
haven't.
not?
No, we
No.
all know what you're going to talk about,
No.
so let's get to it.
I haven't touched my ham radio stuff in a while, but I do enjoy it when I get a chance to do it.
See?
But, however, I have been playing around with my TI-99 a lot lately. So it's a non-Mac, but I grew up programming BASIC on it, and I just got a cassette cable, so now I can actually load BASIC programs in, so I don't have to retype them all. So,
And
that's
Mr.
what-
McIntosh had my answer. Laser
Yeah,
discs.
I knew you were going to steal yours.
Funny about that, Steve. That somebody brought a couple of Laserdisc players that I couldn't get into.
Why do you tell me these things? I tell you, don't tell me what people throw out. There's a guy on Instagram that posted a photo of an LC and a monitor and things like, oh, I forgot to get this before they trash it. I'm like, why are you showing me this? I don't want to see it. I'm just hoping they're all just horrible RF output players that look terrible anyway.
So, Steve, let's go with you next, since you're Laserdiscs.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I like old analog and digital equipment, camcorders and Laserdisc players and SVHS decks and stuff like that. I don't know. I always liked tinker around with that type of video stuff. So
We know you got a couple of those little bitty.
the
miniature
little
Walkmans.
Watchmans.
Yeah.
With the CRTs and them. Those are always fun. It's just any type of that stuff that was like very like cutting edge at the time and was way too expensive for some kid like me without a job to afford. That's the type of stuff I was really into because all that stuff was exciting. I think the cat's sitting on your microphone, Mike.
Microphone's on my head.
Well, there's something
You
going on.
sure?
It might be your camera microphone that's active.
Yeah, we don't hear you when you do that, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think you're using the mic you think you're using, Mike.
There's too many
audition.
mics in there.
The cats have taken over the audio controls.
You're right.
All right. What about you, Bruce?
I love my AV gear. I love my microphones. I'm a bit of a fan of the little palm tops. Things like the Atari Portfolio, which allows me to crack into ATMs and steal money, like in Terminator.
Is it
I
mounted to your arm?
actually have one of those Windows CE devices like that. Little Casio.
This little
Or
guy
compact.
here, little Hewlett Packard 95 LX. I like these things. These are real fun little things, the little tiny keys and stuff like that.
How many
I
keys can you
guess-
just push with one of your thumbs?
My big fat thumbs, I can probably get about 6.
Yeah, that's how you type on
But
those. Boom, boom, boom.
I love old watches. like Casio watches, Casio calculator watches, and I've actually got an old Casio. It's one of the very first kind of touch screen watches that was around at the time. Absolute nightmare to use. I mean, totally impractical. It's got a little calculator that comes up, and it is just so hard to press the buttons with this stupid touchscreen. But it was one of the first sort of touchscreen watches around, and it, it's I really, really love the old sort of Casio. There were some of them that there were a TV remote control, and the ones that stored all the phone numbers and things like that. I mean, I loved all those old Casio watches, so I'm a big fan of collecting those. I've got quite a few of them, but I won't bring them out now. So they're probably the main ones for me. I love everything tech. I love gadgety things.
Yeah,
You're like me. I'm about the same way. I like anything that's gadgety. To play around with.
now the cat is eating the microphone.
How about you, Dan?
Yeah, so I'm kind of limited on space as I live in an apartment still, and there's obviously a ton of junk behind me. So it has to kind of live in that computer realm for me to justify it. Like if I got into something else, it would just be horrible for my own quality of life. So, in the computer spectrum, like I picked up that Atari 520 ST about a week ago. I've got like a Tandy 1000. I also have, according to the box, the world's smallest printer, which is from, I don't even know what era yet. I haven't kind of dug into it. Although one thing I've kind of been gaining some interest in is old radios. So, for example, I have this like Bakelite tube radio sitting here.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like a Sony one a little further down there. But I was thinking I would try my hand at getting them to work again.
It's they're not radios, they're called a wireless.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Where you can get all the news about the war.
That one up on the top, your Bakelite one, is that an RCA?
It is. It's a Victor. Yeah.
Yeah. I have one of those too. Beautiful
neat.
radio, great sound.
Yeah, it's a cool.
If you can find the tubes to fix them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with tube radios nowadays. Is the tubes are getting very scarce now.
I might have to hit my dad up with that antique shop there, as we discussed earlier when we were looking over one of the boxes that I enjoy when folded so much.
It's an inside joke, guys. You'll have to watch the Canadian Computer Collector in a future episode. You might.
Yeah, we have a special cardboard box featuring soon. So if you're on the edge of your seat, I don't blame you.
Ladies.
Jay, how about you, Jay?
I don't really tinker much with non-Apple related electronics.
That's true, yeah.
But since last year, I have found that I am seriously addicted to small engine repair. It started when I got a used lawn tractor that I pulled apart and did some stuff with and fixed it up, and that went to leaf blowers and small lawnmowers, and now I'm just basically grabbing anything that has a small engine in it, and when everybody's gone to bed, I hop off to the garage and start, tearing these things apart, and I enjoy it a lot. It adds no value to my life, doesn't earn me any money, it takes up a ton of space, but I love it. And something I haven't been doing that for about 2 months now, but I want to get back into 3D printing as well. But that's about it. Everything is.
I'd love to get into 3D printing, but I don't know CAD. Is CAD difficult to get?
No, actually, it's not. If I could do it, you could do it. Trust me.
Okay.
I've actually designed like 3 different things. I mean, they're not very hard to design, but I know Bruce has actually had some very good designs that he's done himself on CAD. But
Why, thank you.
Yeah,
I made these little clamps.
Yeah,
Aren't they cute? Cute little clamps.
He's sending me the STL for that. So
Yeah, I am.
Free clamps.
Going to give us the clamp, Steve.
Brackets. I make brackets.
just don't clamp certain things.
Today on Mac Yak, we cover cardboard boxes and plastic clamps.
Stay tuned for the rest of the episode where we cover PCs.
And last but not least, how about you, Mike? What's your favorite non-Mac electronics?
Just probably my vintage electronics in general. All the antique crap I have laying around my house, like my fan.
Only fans. You visit his house and all the fans are like,
Yes, I have antique fans going all the way back to 1909.
Oh, cool.
I've got vintage radios. I mean, I have a tube based AM/FM radio in my bathroom that I use when I take a shower. So, and I got a couple. I mean, I got transistorized ones too. I have a cash register in the storage shed from 1959. It's all mechanical. I think around with that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I don't do it as much as I used to. But
Steve had the pleasure of carrying that cash register, didn't he?
it took 3 of us to move that sucker.
and I will never forget Mike's warnings. If your fingers get stuck under there, I cannot lift it to get them out.
I swear to God, that thing. I've never put it on a scale, but let me put it this way: I felt very comfortable leaving large sums of money inside of it because there is nobody in the world that would ever lift that register. Guaranteed.
I'm willing to bet you that's the reason why they made them like that back in the day.
That thing is made out of solid iron. I swear to God, it's just like it's just filled with freaking lead or something. Because there's no way in the world that thing should weigh 500 or 600 pounds, but it does. And wouldn't you believe it, Steve? I got that thing off the back of my pickup truck. We loaded it with a forklift.
Did the pickup truck lean down in the back?
Nah, I had a 3/4 ton pickup truck. It only leaned a little bit. I actually got that off the bed of my truck by myself and onto that desk where you helped me move it from, Steve.
And what was the cost of the back surgery after?
Well, definitely more than the $80 I paid for the cash register.
Oh God!
So
yeah, I remember you saying, "Yeah, let's put this on something where I never have to move it again."
Well, that's exactly where it went. It went on that desk, and it didn't move again until we had to move out of the garage.
Oh boy!
I didn't even move it to dust behind it or nothing.
So I haven't seen a whole lot in the chat about our fans, not the only fans, but our fans, what they like to tinker on besides Macs. I mean,
let us know.
Yeah.
By the way, Dan, I expected you to talk a little bit about automobiles.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Is that not one of your passions in life?
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm not usually the one doing the tinkering. But I have a 64 Chevy with hydraulic suspension and all of that. So she's pumping out like 20,000 PSI and rolls with 4 car batteries in the trunk,
Does it hop up and down?
It does, yeah. Lots of plumbing involved in that, which I am not a professional of by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, you know what? I should also shout out the Windows 98 server tower that I have, just because we had Windows 98 growing up as kids, and I was trying to install just Diablo with the discs that I've had forever, and it just refused.
I guess
Windows.
Every single time I tried to put another game on it, it would get halfway and then just freeze. I'd be like, this is exactly like childhood.
That was like me trying to install Crysis on my Windows 10 machine yesterday. I found out that a 12-core Intel Xeon running Windows 10 does not run Crysis. So
what?
Yeah,
I must need
it doesn't. It doesn't run. It's a 32-bit. It's a 32-bit app. Is probably why.
Well, I thought that Windows 10 would run 32-bit unless they changed it.
Windows 10 is a pain in the ass when it comes to that stuff. It makes Mac OS look like a freaking cakewalk when it comes to 32 and 64-bit apps.
Windows 10 does some weird stuff. The other day, I unplugged my phone without closing the folder, and then for the next 2 days, every time I would unlock the computer, it would be like, "You just unplugged your phone." I'm like, "No, I didn't."
You gave it PTSD. It's not just like forever thinking you're going to unplug it again.
Every time I unlock, it's like, ah!
All right, guys. So anything else that before we move on from us that you could think of that you tinkered with you didn't talk about?
No.
There's some neat stuff in the chat.
I
I'm
tinker with
looking at
my
that.
I tinker with my Saturn. Does that count?
Yeah, there you go. I tinker with video game consoles, but I
tinker with my Saturn to keep it running for another few days so I can try to get a new car sometime in the next millennium.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We still got a bunch of topics to go over tonight. So we're going to go with our tech talk. Who is doing the tech talk tonight?
It'd be me.
That would be Bruce. So I will throw it over to you, Bruce.
Thank you. Sorry, folks. This might turn out to be one of the most boring things I've ever done, but I'm just going to. I thought I would just talk about this because.
Nice intro.
Yeah.
way to sell it. Start over.
Hey guys,
Just,
you're gonna
you know,
hate this, but
Yeah, if you're enjoying it, show your support in the chat or something like that, because you know, I don't know, this could be the most boring thing I've ever done. So anyhow, I just wanted to talk about compression in general, because compression is something that we use so much, whether it be in sort of storage or whether it be, you know, transferring stuff across the internet. And it's I just wanted to talk about the different types and the different ways of doing things and stuff like that, and things like, for example, if we start with something along the lines of, you know, like a zip file or a Stafford file or something like that, or LZW, LZH, these are like Lempel-Ziv Huffman and Lempel-Ziv Welch and stuff like that. They're a group of people that all got together and sort of came up with these compression techniques. Almost all of those compression techniques, they use a process, they use a method of finding duplicates in files, finding things that repeat, and rather than storing that thing again, it essentially says, oh well, I've already got something like that, so I'm just going to essentially assign a pointer to it rather than actually storing the thing again. And so things like, you know, sort of, you know, documents and stuff like that, they always compress a lot because there's lots of repeated stuff in that data. Or if you're talking about, like, I don't know, a black and white logo or something like that, where you have large areas of just solid color or something like that, those things can compress down a long way using those compression methods. But of course, they are dependent on there being things that can be removed. In other words, there are duplicates of things within that data. And if, you know, sort of, if you get a file and you try and compress it and it hasn't compressed much, that's usually because, well, either A, it's a file format that might already have some compression in it, or it's, you know, there aren't things that you know, there aren't things that can be removed. There aren't duplicates within the data that can be removed. So that's how most of that sort of compression works. And where that sort of falls down is when we get into things like color images. And, you know, things like, if we're talking about like a color image, which is, you know, let's say a 24-bit image, which basically means it's 2 to the power of 24, which means that's around about 16.7 million combinations. But one of the better ways to think of that is in RGB, you know, red, green, and blue, the primary colors of, what is it, additive or subtractive color? I can't remember, one of the two. And each color, red, green, or blue, has 8 bits per channel. So 2 to the power of 8, or 256 combinations. So your red can be, you know, sort of, you know, dark to light in a range of 256, and same with green and same with blue. And then if you get 256 multiplied by 256 multiplied by 256, you get that magic 16.7 million again. Now, the complication here comes when, sorry, I'm watching Jay here. He's trolling me at the moment. So the complication here is that when you have an image, like a color image, and let's just say you've, I don't know, taken a photo of your backyard or something like that, there is a very high likelihood that with each individual pixel being able to be one of 16.7 million colors, it's fairly unlikely that you're going to get repetition within those pixels. You're more likely to going to have all those pixels being different. And that's where this form of compression, like a zip or something like that, is not going to work very well. It doesn't work very well with an image because it doesn't find very much in the way of duplicates or repetition within that image. And that's where something like JPEG comes in. JPEG stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group. And they were formed, I think, in 1992. And it's a group of very, very smart people that came together to produce a standard. So the whole purpose with this was to create a compression standard that they could roll out and everyone would be using the same thing, which of course is a fantastic thing. And just for, sort of while we're talking about that, MPEG also stands for Motion Picture Experts Group. And again, that's a group of people, very smart people that got together and came up with the standards for MPEG video compression. But basically what happens with JPEG, it's incredibly complicated mathematics stuff that I am not even going to bother to try and explain because my brain simply doesn't comprehend it. But basically, JPEG images, when an image is saved in a JPEG format, it breaks it down into lots of little 8x8 squares. And then it does some fancy mathematical stuff to that. And then it essentially rounds it off. So it's almost like it turns it into a great big long number, and then it rounds that number down. And so it's effectively taking data away. It's actually chopping some data off. And each one of those little 8x8 squares gets simplified. Now, if you're talking about that section of the image is just a bit of blue sky, well, you can remove a lot of content from that. You can kind of effectively is like smoothing it out. So rather than having lots of slight variations in pixel, you bring it in so that it's so they're a lot of them are there might be the same pixel color. But you are effectively removing data. You're taking data away. Now, with very low levels of JPEG compression, you may not notice that. But when you start getting into higher levels of JPEG compression, you can actually end up noticing those little blocks, and that's where they get referred to as JPEG artifacts. And those artifacts are created because of the way it divides it up into these little blocks to then, process it and simplify it. Now, this is a way of obviously getting those files much, much smaller than they would have been because you are actually taking data away. But what you'll, of course, have to remember with that is that if you are opening a JPEG file, make a change, save it as a JPEG, open it again later on, make a little change, save it as a JPEG. Every time you're doing that, you're taking a little bit more data away. So a file that is open and saved in JPEG, regularly, you're just going to be stripping away data over and over again. So, it's all very well for JPEGs to be used as a form of storage or transfer, but if it's a file that you're going to be working on, open it up, save it as something else, save it as something that is lossless, and then just only save it as JPEG for either putting it up on the web or sending it to someone. So that's the important distinction between obviously things like zip and JPEG. Zip is lossless, and then JPEG is what they refer to as lossy. So it actually, you are stripping data away when you save it as a JPEG format. So that's sort of one of the, sort of the main sort of differences between different types of compression and thing to keep in mind. Then probably the only other thing I'll just talk about is very quickly is when it comes into video compression, we start having a very different set of challenges with that because obviously video is just made up of lots and lots and lots and lots of still images. And the way video compression generally works is that when you're looking at each one of those frames, rather than each individual frame being the whole image, replaced each time, what it does is it looks at frame 1 and frame 2 and it says, what? Most of what's in these two frames is the same. Let's say we were compressing what we're looking at right now. And you can see that all this stuff behind me here, none of that's changing while I'm talking. It's really only the stuff that's going on around here that's changing. So when you have video compression, you can make it so that it only stores the data that has changed in each frame. And so you start with the one complete frame, and then afterwards, every frame that comes after that is just the content that's changed. The stuff that hasn't changed doesn't need to get replaced each time. And this is one of the reasons why, if you're looking at some compressed video, if you're looking at something like this, you will see a nice sharp image. If you were to, say, compare that to a camera panning across, I don't know, an audience in a football stadium or something like that, you're going to see, you're going to notice that compression a lot more, because it's having to redraw every single frame, because every single frame is changing completely. And so that's generally how it works. There are things called keyframes within video compression, which generally mean that every time there is a keyframe, it does a complete redraw of the video. It does like a complete redraw of a frame. And then it only sends down the modified frames after that. And that's one of the ways that they get, video compression squished, right down. Then there are other different forms of video compression. For instance, there are some forms that might take a really long time to compress, but they're very fast to decompress. Now, that's all fine. If you're preparing a video for uploading somewhere, that's all great. But if you're wanting a video that needs to, like, for instance, what we're doing right now, well, all the video that we are broadcasting is being compressed. Well, this has to be stuff that can compress very quickly. And there might be the penalty might be you may not get as much compression, or you might end up getting sort of visible artifacts, because it can't necessarily analyze the picture as much to go in and do, very careful sort of removal of data and stuff like that. And so you have this sort of trade-off with where video is in how long it is going to compress and decompress, whether it can be used for certain purposes. So the last thing I want to do, we have got the old GIF mentioned in here. I should do a shout out for the old GIF, which is, of course, meant to be pronounced GIF. The creator has said it should be pronounced GIF, but no, I'm not gonna. So the GIF file is a classic one. The fact that it is still used today, and it was created such a long time ago. GIF has some amazing limitations to it, but it also has some advantages. One of the limitations it has is it can only store 256 colors. It can't store any more than that. And you might say, well, that's nonsense. I've seen GIF images where there's more than 256 colors. Well, no, you haven't. What GIF does is it has the ability to store a kind of like a custom color palette. So it's not a matter of saying you're only allowed to use these 256 colors. You can use 256, but you can use any color in that palette of 256. So if you're storing a photo of, say, a sunset in GIF, you're going to be using a color palette mainly of oranges and yellows and stuff like that. If you are, sort of, I don't know, you're photographing a field, you're going to have a color palette of mainly sort of greens and yellows and stuff like that. And so GIF has this limitation that it can only store 256 colors, but that in itself means that the file can end up being a lot smaller. But a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of that. But another thing you can also do with GIF is you can reduce the number of colors. So if you're just doing a plain logo with only 2 colors in it, you can actually save a GIF so that it only uses 2 colors, and that will then bring that file size way, way down. GIF uses built-in. It uses a form of compression, the lossless compression I was referring to before, and so GIF does get compressed, as I say, with the fewer colors and the compression. You can get GIF files very small, but the one thing GIFs do that no other still image format does is allow you to do animations, and it baffles my mind that there isn't a JPEG animation file format around. But there isn't. So GIFs do allow you to have multiple frames, and then you can set how long each frame will stay up on the screen. So, and that gives us the ability to send all these stupid little GIFs to each other when someone says something in a chat. Yeah. So anyhow, that I think that probably covers it. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
I have a question too. You go first, Jay.
Actually, I have 2 questions. Tricked you. Is any format of compression better at certain data than others? And I'm not talking about images, but let's say I have a vintage piece of software, how do I know if I pick Zip or SIT or SITX or RAR or?
I mean, generally, what has happened with a lot of those forms of compression is they have got better as time has gone on. They have found better efficiencies in the way that they should store things so that you might get a slight savings. When it comes to compression these days, probably one of the most important things that needs to be considered is compatibility. That when you send it to someone or post it somewhere, that the person who downloads it or receives it is going to be able to decompress it. So if someone might come up with the best, most amazing form of compression out there that sort of can squish things down to the tiniest little size, but if the person at the other end doesn't have a means of easily decompressing it, then it's not the format that's going to get chosen. And this is one of the reasons why things like Zip are just so universally acceptable, because pretty much everyone has the means to unzip files. I mean, I remember back in the old vintage days, you would send someone a zip file, and the next thing you know, you're getting a phone call saying, "What do I do with this?" These days, you're not going to have that problem. You send someone a zip file, and it's going to be fine. And it's the same when we're dealing with the vintage Mac stuff.
Most of the stuff is built in nowadays into the software. I know Windows has it built in, and OS 10 has it built in. So
it used to be you were on your own, and that's why the system software disks would give you like stuff at Expander on the disk or something if you were lucky.
Yeah.
So I see that Dan is a Silicon Valley fan.
Yeah. Middle out.
That last episode of Series 1, or second last episode, whichever, I think it was the second last episode, it was one of the funniest things I have ever seen. For the G rating, we can't really mention it, but for people who are old enough, if you haven't seen the TV series Silicon Valley, Series 1 in particular, I think, is just one of the funniest things that's ever ended up on TV. You don't need to be a geek or anything to watch it. It is just genuinely hilarious. But anyhow, look, I completely and totally dodged Jay's question with that one there in terms of which one is better from a compression standpoint. Some of them, yes, some of them do have advantages in certain circumstances. But at the end of the day, it's probably more to do with the compatibility of the person that's going to be expanding it.
And the second question: how come whether you're running a G3 single processor, a Mac Pro 12 core, or the latest M1, why is compressing data always so slow and always uses just one core, regardless of what kind of algorithm you use? I know it's a lot of math involved, but come on.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I can tell you that if you were going to be compressing, say, some video using something like Handbrake, that one is going to utilize all your cores. That one is one that is very good at sort of distributing that stuff out there. As to why some of these other compression tools are only using one processor, I don't really know enough about the mathematics to find it, because obviously you can only send stuff to multiple cores if you can divide the job up.
Right.
And maybe it's something to do with it. They can't divide the job up. I don't know.
The last half hour, you painted yourself as the foremost expert on this subject, so I expect you to
No.
Okay. All right.
I know a lot of the theories behind it. I don't know the math. So.
I want to just follow up what you said, Bruce, about the animated GIF format and how it's really funny because today it seems to be used a lot, in social media and stuff like that. And there's been efforts to, replace them with MP4 video files and this and that. But what I always run into, and I'm sure you've run into it too, if you're making something for a website or for marketing purposes or whatever, there's always going to be that person. Well, can you make it sharper, or can you, make the colors better, or can you do this, or can you do that? And this happened to me personally a few years ago, and I had to respond to the person. I said, this format has not been updated since 1989. The standard has not been updated since 1989. What you're asking for is not probable. You want it to be like half the file size, but like double the width and the height. That's not going to happen. I mean, there's interesting things like APNG, which have not really gotten too much ground yet, but it's just one of those things that I think it's going to be around until someone replaces it.
Well, here's another interesting thing. If you were planning to send out an email to someone, say a marketing style email, a GIF is really the only way you're going to get that animation to work. Now, it won't work in Microsoft Office, but that's because it's a piece of shit. But it will work in all of your, sort of, web browsers, web email clients and stuff like that. And it'll work in most sort of email clients. You can send someone an animation using a GIF inside an HTML email. So they're quite important from an email marketing perspective in that regard, because they'll play universally on so many different email clients.
So who here actually uses Outlook?
Hands down.
I have to use it at work.
Of course he does.
They force us.
But the one of the most frustrating things I find is when I do, because I do quite a lot of marketing emails. People bring me designs and I convert them into HTML for sending out in an email. One of the big challenges is explaining to a designer this kind of limitation, because they might say, "Oh, look, this email, when it goes out, it can't be any bigger than 800K or something like that." And then they come up with a design, and they have, say, for instance, a background that's a graduation from like like a white to a blue. And I say, in that graduation you've got there, you have got, a couple of hundred colors going on to create that graduation in the background. Which means that when I convert this into a GIF, we are going to be using the entire color palette in order to do that. If you change that background into a solid color, this thing would be a fraction of the size. And I always had that issue at kind of explaining to designers what these limitations are. How come this GIF is so big, but the one I did last time was small? And it's like, well, because you used solid colors in the last one, and now you've got lots of, sort of graduations in this one. But that's just
it's always so satisfying when, like, the first or second try you get it, you could save the animated GIF and it's going to be like 3 kilobytes. You're like, yes, like I got it. I cracked the code of the whatever you were doing.
Can I just throw in real quick that as a longtime Photoshop user, how infuriating it is that when you go to the save dialog in Photoshop, whether you save as web or regular save it, and you tweak it to perfection. You spend like 20 minutes sliding and clicking, and it tells you this is going to be exactly 50K as soon as you save it. You save it, bam, 230K. It's never accurate, and that's the software I would write for a vintage Mac, or any Mac for that matter.
I've generally found the predictions of those sizes to be fairly accurate in my experience.
But never spot on.
Yeah,
I've actually, I've had more problems with Photoshop, but ImageReady, when it was a separate product, it was pretty darn accurate. But I think the whole thing was basically dedicated to animation and stuff like that.
All right, guys. So we're about ready to move on here. But before we move on,
smash that like button.
Because we haven't played that tonight, so we need to do that.
I want to mention just on compression really quick, if you're new to Vintage Macs, Stuffit Expander is going to be a name that you hear a lot. Essentially, that was the zip equivalent for the Mac. They did make zip programs for the Mac, but Stuffit was tuned to it to handle files and resource forks and all that stuff. So you could go on Macintosh Garden. Stuffit Expander is the decompressor. Drop Stuff is the compressor. There are different formats and compression algorithms and all this fun stuff. So have fun with that.
I've never successfully opened up a zip file in WinZip for Mac back in the day. It always crashed. It never worked.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let's get to game time now. So we're going to start. We haven't done this in a long time, but we're going to do our Eep Quack tonight. As it says right there, Eep if you have, Quack if you haven't. And I'm not going to go any more into the rules because everyone should know how to do this by now. First one up tonight is from Ed Retrotech. And it says, did you ever complete some nice solder joints just to remember you forgot to add the heat shrink tubing before soldering?
Eep.
Eep.
Eep. Eep. I've done that before.
Quack? What do you mean quack, Dan?
I have not ventured into soldering yet.
So you can't eep or quack then.
I know, yeah. I quacked because I thought that was the only choice I had. In reality, my answer is
It's because Greg didn't explain the rules properly. That's why, Dan. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Well, isn't that lucky?
Well, with all the vintage Macs you have, you can't keep leaning on other people forever, especially Bruce, who will just tell you he doesn't want it.
Well, my buddy Mr. Fahrenheit recaps all my logic boards right now. Like, we have a deal worked out, but he doesn't do the analog boards, which I think I'm going to end up doing, and the power supplies.
Oh, those are fun. You'll soon realize why a lot of us don't prefer to do that.
Yeah, with the caps the size of D-cell batteries. I'm really looking forward to that.
That's right. And no two are alike. I mean, you can go out and you can buy 50 different types of capacitor, and then you'll go and grab another power supply, and you'll go, this is going to surely use one of the ones I already had. But no.
Or it'll be like 5 millimeters too tall, and it won't fit in the darn case. Yeah.
There's a hot tip then. Don't bulk purchase large capacitors.
Yeah, I actually started using Console 5 to get some of the analog board stuff because they have a small selection of things, and it's just like, well, I can't even compete on Mauser getting the right prices for like these 10 caps. Like, I'm just gonna pay that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Console 5 is definitely a good one for that sort of stuff.
All
There's
right.
a lot of eeps in the chat, by the way.
Yes, I saw that. There's a couple of quacks, but not too many. Next one is from Justin Morgan. Have you ever mixed two Mac models up and bought the wrong one?
Eep?
Oh, probably.
Eep.
I'll eat that.
I'm gonna say quack because I don't think I bought the wrong model. That
I probably have. So eep.
I've certainly had the seller mix them up. I think I'm buying this, and then when it arrives, something completely different turns up.
That I've had happen, but I've never actually bought something wrong. And
No, I do it all the time. Especially the 2008 to 2011 stuff that messes me up because it all looks alike.
Yes.
And it's all pretty much the same. But then, oh wait, this turns out to be a display for a 2012. It doesn't fit on 2011, or this board doesn't fit in that chassis, and that kind of stuff.
I like Sean's. It says quack because there's no wrong model of Mac. They're all perfect.
I was typing a response to him that I have some melted logic boards for him.
It's like something a grandma would say.
Yeah.
Oh, these beautiful Macs are perfect.
You know what's funny? One of the Macs that I bought wrongly was when I first started collecting these things, and I was just trying to hoover up everything I could locally, and I ended up buying a 2013 21.5-inch iMac in my mind, thinking that it was the 2010 that I'd watched a video on recently on how to replace a screen. So I bought this 2013 with a broken screen, thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be a breeze.
The thin
and then I got it home. Yeah, and I was like, oh no, it's laminated. And like the glass panel with the LCD is like twice what I paid for it. So
Yeah, because
it lives with a broken screen.
Ouch.
Yeah.
You just get a very large printout and just stick it on there. No, it looks fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, next Eep Quack, and that's from me.
Oh crap, we got lots of them, don't we?
Have you ever soldered up a prototype board only to find out you left one pin unsoldered?
Quack.
I wonder who you're referring to.
I wonder.
I only want to hear one eep here.
Eep.
I had to put that one in just for Bruce. Actually,
Quick plug for the video if you haven't watched it.
Oh yeah, excellent video that
Yes.
Bruce did about this is the recreated Macintosh classic board
Yeah,
that
part 4,
Kai
yeah.
Robinson did. So part 4 is not a live video; it's a recap video and then sort of like what the current status is now. Not going to spoil it for you. Go watch the video. It's excellent.
Well, the only spoiler is that he did leave one pin unsoldered.
Oh dear.
Out of what? How many thousands of components did he solder?
It doesn't matter, man.
There were a couple
His
of thousand pads
reputation
on
is
that
perfection.
And like I said, it has to be a prototype board. So the only Eep should have been in here is Bruce. So
I soldered things to a prototype board, but it was like 3 pins, so I didn't screw it.
All right. Next one is from Kate from Macintosh Librarian. Have you ever regretted buying a retro Mac on eBay?
Quack.
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 No,
You know, I
quack.
thought
'Cause
I
I've
did
never regretted buying.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I bought one once upon a time. I got a workgroup server, and it was way rustier than I thought it was based on the photographs, but it worked out in the end.
And I guess, of course, Sean says quack for his previous reason. Every Mac is perfect.
Well, I say quack because I do not purchase from Goldman. So
Mr. Polka Dots.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, never purchase from the polka dot
Sometimes
dude.
pay too much.
Oh, is that
I mean,
iBook clamshell guy?
Well, there's that guy is silly polka dots. Then there's Mr. Polka Dots. There's slightly different derangements. There's a branch of craziness that
We'll catch you up after the show.
They both grew up near similar chemical spills.
Maybe.
involving polka dot puddles. Yeah.
So I saw Kate in here, but she did not quack or eep. I don't think if I missed
She
it or
just
not.
pops in, say hi, and then
No, she was here. When we
She's
said
here.
it, she's here.
Well,
But
I know that a lot of us collect these machines, and even if you regret the purchase, either you could resell it or you could use it eventually.
She forgot the rules.
See, Greg, you have to say the rules, otherwise people forget.
Okay.
I have half a shelf that's probably full of crap that I bought, and I'm like, oh, I overpaid for that. It's just sitting there. So
on this one right here, eep if you've regretted it, quack if you have not regretted it.
quack,
So quack.
especially the prices
Quack.
these days. Quack.
Yes.
I mean, I've sometimes had a little bit of regret about what I've paid for stuff, but never regretted buying things.
Yeah, that's how I would sum it up too.
So I'm still waiting for Kate. And this is her eep quack, and she hasn't said eep.
And this is
quack.
going to play back beautifully on the playthrough when people aren't looking at the chat.
I know.
We got a visitor.
She regretted buying a 2C and then getting one for free the next month.
Yeah, that always happens.
But can I tell you, Kate, two 2CIs is better than one 2CI. Simple as that.
True.
I think she meant to Apple 2C though.
Can't argue with
2C,
that
sorry.
logic.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 2C. Yeah. Two 2Cs are better than one 2C.
There you go.
But then you have a 4C. I love Sean's.
Yeah, just put some duct tape in there. You're good.
All right. So next one is from Jay. Ever make a typo of one or two characters, but hit backspace way more times than that?
Eep.
Eep.
Probably.
And I catch myself doing it. It's either when I'm typing in a password, trying to log in somewhere, I miss one character, or I slip and hit the wrong key. Just one, and I hit backspace like 8 times. It's full automatic mode, and I know while I'm doing it that I'm doing it, and I still do it.
Well, here's a kind of a play on this one too, and I'm going to add a little bit to this one. Have you ever hit the space bar twice thinking you're putting a period on your keyboard?
No.
Oh, I see.
I have done that. I have done that.
Like iOS type thing.
Yeah, because when you hit when you hit space, you know how it puts a dot.
I've never done it on my desktop, but I think I've done it on my tablet because I don't have it switched on my tablet, but I do on my phone.
Oh God! We got to put this one up here. Hold on.
Wait, what happened?
We'll explain that to you later, Dan. The famous typo.
The famous typo.
Yeah, that's right.
Rocky's infamous fingers.
That's going back away, isn't it? Yeah.
I think I can guess.
Yeah, that's a good one, Kate. Yeah.
With the iOS shortcuts, the little virtual keyboard, I've screwed up with that multiple times, but thankfully with the physical keyboard on a desktop, I have.
I've actually done that a couple of times, not a lot, but I'll hit the space bar twice. Like, oh wait, I can't do that on this. It doesn't work that way.
Oh, you could set some automation, but it would drive you wild.
Oh, I know. No.
My Magic Keyboard recently just started typing square bracket infinitely, like at random intervals.
Can you say it's magical, Dan?
Well, it feels like magic, like dark magic or something.
You really just needed all these end brackets in here. There you go.
There you go. All right, and our last eep quack for the evening is from Dana. Ever doze off while typing and then LOL at whatever you ended up typing. It's been just basically a whole bunch of jumble characters, and so yeah, I guess I could eat that.
Quack? I don't think I've
have
ever
to
done
quack that. I mean, I've definitely had the cat type some messages, but yeah, I've not typed any in my sleep.
Apparently, Dana has eat that, so yes.
Dana might have a sleepwalking issue if that's the case. Dana, do you ever find yourself confused and holding a jar of mushroom soup in the middle of the night?
Eep.
He might eat that too.
So Sean's gonna quack that one, huh? Let's see. Baby boomers quack. You don't doze off. Come on now, that's a lie right there. I think everybody has dozed off while typing.
No.
What?
I've never dozed off.
How drowsy are you people?
Hey, I've done it before. So
Well, not on my Mac, unlike Dana, but when I'm in bed on the phone or something, or on the couch, and I'm super comfortable with 2 cats on me, yeah, it's happening.
I've certainly fallen asleep like watching things like on my phone or something, but not interacting. Like,
not
you know, it's funny when you've got your phone and you're reading something before bed, and then you fall asleep while you're holding it up still, and then it just falls out of your hand, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
I've actually had that. I've actually had my wife.
Okay, I will eat to that because that's how that happened.
Yeah, that has happened to me for sure.
Yes.
The worst was when I first got the iPad,
and you're holding it up on your
the
chest.
iPad 1, so it's quite thick. Okay. And I'm leaning, and I'm on the couch, and I'm leaning. I'm dozing off a little bit, but I've got a good grip on it. I'm watching a TV show or something. And I just start to yawn, and boom, smacks me right in the nose. I'm like, ah!
Oh dear.
All right, so that's.
I put the fog wraith clip in question on our Facebook chat, so you can familiarize yourself with that.
So how many Eep quacks was that, Greg? I think we have a record.
That was 6, I think, tonight.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Keep them coming, guys.
Yeah, we got all those from our Discord channel, and we do have that Discord channel there for a reason. So it's for a topic. I think it's under the topic suggestions, Jay.
Yeah, someplace in that area.
But if you got some Eep quacks, put it in there. Let us know. And you could be mentioned on the show.
You could be famous.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have. Let me get back up here to my topics. Our next topic is Apple and colors. Color use in their own products, the effect on other industries like ours, and dislikes. So, what do we like about Apple's color choices? I mean,
they used to be
They're
new
pretty.
and fresh, and it was something different from all the beige and gray stuff.
Well, Apple's kind of went like up and down, up and down. I mean, remember they started out with the old beige stuff. Then they kind of went to the colorful stuff with the iMacs and the different, colors and everything. Then they went back to the aluminum only, stuff. And now they're back to the colors again. So it's like,
just say beige. There was a sea of different subtle color changes of beige there, Greg. Come on.
But it was still all
Apple
the same.
would have released those colorful iMacs if it wasn't for Steve Jobs and his black Next cubes.
Yes,
he stepped away from the whole beige thing with Next.
Yeah,
Apple had a very definite goal during that time of the iMac, and that was to try and make computing fun and playful. It was part of their marketing. It's like, this isn't just tech. This is we are releasing tech for the non-tech savvy. So we're going to get you up on the internet. This thing you've been hearing about. We're going to get you out onto the internet easily. You're going to be able to enjoy it. And these computers are fun. They're not, they're not like just sort of boring tech stuff. So there was a very definite marketing goal going on at the time that they were bringing out the color, the sort of you're starting obviously with the Bondi blue and the, sort of, and then all the more colorful ones that came after that. So, I definitely see the colors in response to the time, the particular, the time that it was. I mean, later on when they ditched the color and went into the aluminium, that was a different thing. Now they're into making the stuff look sleek, making it, again, that goal with it is trying to make people the users fall in love with their computers. I love my new computer. It's so, it's sleek and shiny and different to all the other ones. But I just sort of feel like the color, particularly in that first wave of color, played a very definite role in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make people fall in love with your product, you do not use pastel colors. I'm just going to say.
I thought it was interesting that they went from like the white G5, which I thought had a really cool look to it, to all the aluminum stuff. And I know you could still get MacBooks in like white and black at that point, but then when it all went all aluminum, after 10 years of that, it started to get pretty boring. I really like the new stuff.
I would have to agree with you because everything was aluminum. The Mac Pro was aluminum. The MacBook Pros were aluminum. The iMacs were aluminum.
As much as people like the colors, when they did that first aluminum MacBook, I think it was 2008, in between the black and white MacBooks, they did the aluminum one, the 2.53 gigahertz, I think.
Mm-hmm.
People loved it. They loved it. Because suddenly you weren't paying for this piece of plastic, you were paying for, piece of aluminum, cast, carved, and, it suddenly gave your product more value, even though it didn't.
Let's not forget about the G4 titanium. I mean, that one was one that was largely plastic, but had that grey finish. And again, I at the time when that came out, I thought that was just the best looking laptop ever.
Until the paint scraped off, right?
Well, not mine. Mine's perfect. Mine's
you were brand new at the time.
They were just absolutely amazing. So thin. The bezels around the edge of the screen were so small. I mean, so that almost all of the screen was screen and not sort of like bezel around the outside. I just thought they were absolutely fantastic, and I could never afford one, but I just one that I wished I was able to have.
No. Eep Quack, between the years of, let's say, 1998 and 2005, how much of your accessories had some kind of color to it?
Eep.
Everything was blue. My USB hub, my printer, my scanner, everything was blue.
That was super.
Yeah. And Jay just froze.
Sorry?
And Jay just froze. I think we lost him.
We could see that, GT. Let's keep going.
He's got quite a smile going there, though.
Oh, there he's back.
Now he's sad
there
again.
It is. Yeah.
Dude, this is cool. StreamYard gives me a little Wi-Fi thingy with signal strength next to the live counter. It's showing me that I have a terrible signal right now. I'm not even using Wi-Fi. That's awesome.
Nice. I think with the, definitely with the earlier stuff that they were designing, it was, they had that the fog color. It was like the creamy white color that they used for the Apple IIs and stuff like that. And they moved on to the different design languages. And the most variations you got was like the platinum color, the creamy color, and then the PowerBook color for a while. So, when you got the little accents of blue and stuff on the Power Macs before the iMac was introduced and little things like that, it was different. It was playful. It was colorful. It was like a more stylistic approach to something. I think that was what I think Apple needed at the time to differentiate themselves. Because if they released an iMac that was basically the G3 all-in-one model, I don't think it would have been as successful. Yeah, you could have the price lower. You could have the same form factor. You could have the same specs. But just look at it. If that was all just solid beige or solid white or solid black, the eMac is kind of like that, but it's more polished and stuff like that. But I would argue that the colors and the whole mindset and marketing behind it was really what drew that product to be successful.
So do we think that the use of colors on the new iMac M1s are going to reinvigorate their sales?
I think from a standpoint of just there's something different about them. It cost Apple a few pennies to do a color coding on metal. I'm sure there was a lot of R&D of like what paint sticks and all this formulas and whatever the heck. But like just to include some colors, I think it's going to do a lot for them.
Well, to be honest with you, I could tell you right now where I work at, I have not seen them flying off the shelf. To be honest with you, I've seen more MacBook Pro M1s flying off the shelf.
Well, I think that also speaks to people like portable stuff rather than desktops. There are different people who would want a desktop and a portable, and
I'll be honest. I have no issue with the color. I have no issue with the color. A lot of people have complained about the pastels and that. I've got no issue with them at all. I'm not going to buy one because I don't buy new stuff. But in the future, I may end up owning one of them, and I don't really care. Color's fine. Sorry, Dan.
I think. Oh no, it's all good. I was going to say I think they're great, and I think it speaks to the type of people they're trying to sell to. But part of that is also that those people probably do want something more portable, like a MacBook. But if you're looking at the segment of people they're trying to target with it, it's probably a very similar group of people to those they were targeting with the G3s. Young people who might not have a ton of experience with this kind of thing, very entry-level users, and those kind of people prefer something with some bells and whistles on them. You know what I mean? Like, the mint green color, or like the yellow or the orange, like that stuff jumps out more. They can show it off a little bit more. You know what I mean? So like, I wonder if sales end up being good for the iMacs, if they'll venture into funky colored laptops, which we have not seen.
Nah, we already have polka dots on eBay.
I think with the iMac, one of the things that someone brought up when they first came out was interesting is you have things like the Apple TV app, or a streamlined version of that experience is on things like the iMac now. So technically you could buy this 24-inch iMac and you could have a small apartment or a dorm room or whatever, and you could use that as like a TV and your computer, if you didn't really want a portable or whatever. And then schools, laptops are convenient, but you have to worry about people walking off with them or whatever. I mean, if you had a desktop in a graphics lab or whatever, I mean, I think that's one of the perfect reasons to have it. And I did a little retrospective of the iMac when the new ones came out, and it's like they're pretty nice machines as far as the specs and the dimensions are. I mean, obviously, we'll get more models and stuff like that, but I'm all for the colors. Make it colorful, make things a little different.
I don't think the same audience exists. Like Apple, when the iMacs came out, the home computer was still primarily a Windows PC. You had Mac everywhere in business, but they needed to make this final push to get it into people's homes. And I think the colors and the way it looked and all that stuff really got it done. I don't think you can say the same now. Do
you think it might be like a last-ditch effort to keep desktop sales going?
Maybe. It could be because, my phone is more powerful than my Mac Pro probably at most things at this point. And everybody has an iPhone. Hell, my 5-year-old has an iPhone. So, you're not going to have an audience that is computer illiterate anymore by the time they buy a computer, because they already know iOS, iPadOS, and stuff like that. So I don't know what.
I don't know, Jay, about that, because I see a lot of people just throwing away computers because they just don't know what to do with them.
That's not computer illiterate. Those are just idiots.
Yeah.
Well, there's still lots of computer illiteracy. I would say the base level of computer literacy has definitely improved.
Oh, yes. I agree on that.
But there's tons of people who still just don't get it. I mean, like, what's that line people say about IT? They're like, how come the IT guy is so rude? And it's like, because of the things you ask him to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, there's still lots of ignorance on that front. And I don't mean like, terrible world-ending ignorance, but those people probably would be maybe attracted more to a desktop if it had a funky color. I think Sam had a good comment though. Like he was saying with where portables are right now, it's going to be a hard sell to sell a desktop to a young person. Like, we like desktops because we use them all the time and that's what we're used to. I mean, I live and die by the desktop, but I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I just bought a gaming computer. And then I ask them what it is, and it's some atrocious like MSI gaming laptop. And I'm like, ugh.
That's like 4 inches thick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, why didn't you just buy a desktop? Because it's about the same size.
Exactly. Yeah, like it looks like an ancient tome that would have like gilded edges and stuff, It
has fins like an old 60s car. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Has an actual gas-powered motor in it.
I think that, with things like the iPad and the pencil and all this stuff, I mean, you could certainly get away with being creative on a tablet device and stuff like that. But I think that there's still tasks that you need the precision of a mouse or a keyboard with. And yes, there's some of that support with iOS and stuff like that. But if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do a video, I want a big screen. If I'm going to do editing or photo editing or whatever, I want a large screen. I'm probably not going to use a laptop, or if I have a laptop, I'm plugging it into a big screen. So, everyone has their different preferences, but I know a lot of people who I speak to, they have a laptop or they plug it into a larger screen, and that's fine for them. But, I think there's still going to always be people that need a desktop type machine, but I think I think one day it'll be just a screen, and there's going to be one small M whatever chip on it, and it's going to be like the size of your phone. But you're basically going to buy a smart screen, and then you're going to have your devices just talk to it.
Yeah.
I
feel like
By the way, Ron made a small typo there. Obviously, graphite is where it's at.
Key lime, my friend. Key lime.
no.
Well, speaking of which, before the show, some of us were discussing the iPhone colors and stuff, and one of the things was I like the blue one. Jay still likes the graphite, of course, but back in the day.
Sorry.
But back in the day, when they came out with the first white iPhone, that's the one I wanted. I didn't, because everything was a black iPhone at the time, And when they came out with the first iPhone, I think it was a 4.
3G.
No, well, the 3G had the white back.
That's
but
what I'm saying. The white one was the first one with the 3G.
But it still had a black front, so it didn't really.
Yeah, the white front was the 4.
Yeah, was the 4. But that's the one that I liked because it had the white front and back.
I never really bothered with the phone colors because I put it in a case, and that case is going to cover the whole back and protect it anyway. So I never really bothered with that. The 3G phone I got that was white, I ended up getting a black case on it, and the only time you saw the white was by the camera. So
Yeah, that's the trouble with phones like that. If you put them in a case, realistically, it doesn't matter what color the phone is.
Well,
unless you're
You would be wrong about that.
Look
At the
at
time
Jay's
when
case.
when the first gold phone came out, I forgot which one it was. The 6?
6.
The
I think it was a 6, yeah.
the first gold phone. We
No, I think
had
the
people
5.
from all over the world. I mean, this was Miami, so there was a lot of travel. They would show up and stand in line for days. I want gold phone. We don't have the gold phone. We have every other color. No. I want gold phone. They insisted on having the gold phone. And when they finally got it, they slapped the case on it. You couldn't see anything gold anymore. It's like, you obsessed over this for a week. Come on.
I like to use
This is
phone
the extent of
wallets.
the extent of the gold on my phone.
Ooh.
You know what's funny is that my iPad is the gold iPad, and the only reason why I got that was because that's the only one they sell now that's white. That has the white front.
The front of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like a gold iPhone so people assume I'm impressive,
Does anybody remember that app that all it did was show a little diamond or whatever it was? It
The
says
gem, the
Rich.
$999 gem.
Yeah.
In the store for like a week before Apple pulled it down.
I think a couple people actually did buy them. So.
Yeah, this was the launch of the App Store, like the second or third month it launched or something.
Yeah, I know.
like
I
that.
remember that because that app got very popular as far as news because a lot of people were writing about it and how expensive it was.
Oh, you know what? I just found it. I think it was called I Am Rich.
Yeah, that's the name
There
of the
you
app.
How much did it cost, Dan?
$999 US.
Oh,
The equivalent of $1,200 in today.
lovely.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else on the colors before we move on?
Graphite forever.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I should say one more thing about I Am Rich. 8 people bought it.
Wow.
That
So
paid
that
for
guy-
that developer's license for a while.
Yeah, he made $8,000. Hey. Well, plus minus 30%. So that's
It was 40 back in the day.
Oh, was it 40?
Yeah.
So Apple wasn't complaining.
No?
All right, so we're going to move on to our next topic, and we're going to continue the YouTube series is how to deal with trolls, critics, and overall jerks.
Bruce
So, I'm gonna-
deals with me all the time, so
Yeah.
he's an expert.
so Steve, I know you've had some just recently in some of your streams. So how do you deal with these comments like that?
You ignore them and then delete them. That's
no. I think you need to have fun with them.
If you enjoy wasting your time, GT, I would encourage you to do that, because you seem to be the one who's always picking fights on Facebook. When
Exactly.
people are posting things for different prices. You have more energy and whatever to put up with that, my friend, than I do. Have at it. I could not care less.
One of the really important things whenever anyone is leaving a comment is, let's just say this is something, whether it be on your Facebook page or whether it be on your YouTube channel or something, someone leaves a comment. This is someone who is ultimately on your platform. So this is someone who has commented in your space. It might be a different story if it's just a like a public forum or something like that. But in particular, if we're talking about like a YouTube video or something like that, and someone types something about the video, oh, you're doing it all wrong or something like that, or your videos are too long or whatever the case may be, and someone does it, they are ultimately residing on your platform. This is like, it's your house. They're a guest in your house. Now, so you are the one giving them that channel for their comment to be seen. And the moment you reply to a negative comment like that, you have validated what they have done. It gives them a sense of power. It gives them a sense of achievement that they wrote something and you have replied to it. They wrote something provocative or whatever, and you've replied to it. And all of a sudden you initially had the power because this is your platform. But the moment you reply to those comments, you've shifted the power back to them. You have made them important. So whilst people may like mucking around with these people and picking fights with them and everything like that, the moment you reply to someone on your, sort of on your platform, you are shifting the power to them and away from you. If depending on the comment, if someone is just writing something in there and they might potentially be trying to be helpful, but they've made a mistake or something like that. And you might say, oh, look, that might be the case with the, 1990 model, but in the 1991, it was like this. That's fine. That's just, it's just communication. But when people are being deliberately provocative, the way I see it, the way you deal with that is you just delete the comment. You just remove the comment. You don't reply to it. You take away that power from them. That's the way I see it when it comes to something like that.
And while we're there, we could thank Ron for his $5 super chat there. Appreciate it, Ron.
Ron. Thank you, Ron. Ron's getting a lot of side action today. He was accidentally shown off in a few videos just by screen grabs and stuff today. So Ron is very excited. As you should be.
Add on to what Bruce was saying, one thing I find is an effective strategy, because I don't do live streams really, but if someone makes a negative comment on a video of mine, usually I'll wait a day or two, because people do these things very flippantly. They're not writing them down and diarizing every negative comment they make to go back and check to see if someone said anything. So the only thing that keeps that comment alive is the notification that you've replied. So if you wait a couple days and you just delete it, they're probably never going to think about it again. And it doesn't have to live in your comment section. I had a guy say, "You have no idea what you're doing, do you?" on a video where I was doing thermal paste on a MacBook Pro. And to some degree, he was right. But I just waited a couple days and deleted it afterward.
There are just some things like that, like thermal paste applying. Everybody and their mother's going to have their own opinion of that. So there's absolutely no use in a platform where it's your content and whatever. There's not going to be a critical feedback loop or conversation happening. It's YouTube's comment section, or any comment section really, is not the place for that. Now, I've seen in rare occasions on videos that I've done or other people's done where someone replies, "Oh, I found this neat trick or with this machine or whatever," and there's a conversation going, "Hey, that's great," but it's very rare that actually happens. And it's just, sometimes you just like, "Okay, yeah, that's cool. Bye."
So what about the ones that like, for instance, that don't understand a live stream intro and say the video starts here 2 minutes or 30 seconds in. You know,
People can't be helped.
They
I'm
just
sorry.
think their time is way more valuable than it actually is.
Exactly.
If someone is coming on a platform and they do not understand how to use that platform, that is not the concern of the creator. That's the concern of the individual who is accessing the computer.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people understand that the reason why we do have the 5, I mean, a lot of people think that 5 minutes is a long time, but you got to remember, YouTube puts out the notification once we go live. Okay. It doesn't send out anything until you actually hit that live button. So we have that 5 minutes to let people know, hey, guess what? We're live. Go ahead and join us. So we don't start talking right away. And then people that want to hear it live miss a lot of that stuff.
And there's the ads. You know,
Yeah,
you've got ads
that
playing
too. Mhm.
So you don't
But-
want the ads cutting into your content.
But a lot of people, I don't think, understand, especially I've seen those trolls on some of the live content, don't understand that's the reason why you play a long, intro or video or something like that, because it gives people time to get on and actually see you live, and they don't miss, something that they wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, the second I started doing my live streams, I had no idea what the heck I was doing, obviously. So I would start the stream, and I'd be like just staring at the camera, waiting for the little swirly thing. And YouTube's like, "You're live," and I'm like, "Hi, let's do a thing." And it was just like so jarring because at that moment I was figuring out: does the microphone work? Does the camera work? Am I actually broadcasting? And all this stuff. And so, yeah, you need an intro to sort of, all right, do I have my crap together? All right, good. Here, let's go.
Mike's cats are the biggest backyard trolls.
Thank you, Justin.
You know what, I wanted
Thank you,
to
Justin.
also,
Thank you.
add a comment about how when I first started watching retro tech videos and all that stuff, like a couple of years before I started my channel, the thermal paste controversy was shocking to me. How like so many people have a different idea of how to apply thermal paste. Like it's almost like, I don't know, at this point there be some sort of universal way of doing it? Like, I saw a diagram that had like 6 different methods on it, and everyone in the comments is just like, you're an idiot. No, you're an idiot.
It doesn't matter how you put it on, as long as it's the way that works for you. That's just how it goes. I mean, I do thermal paste where I put it down and I'll scrape it, to make sure it's all
That's what I
evenly
do.
on there. I've done it where I put just dots down and let the heat sink, squish it down. But
Let's just say
Like
it's
someone did an
Apple,
X
just put a
pattern.
whole tube on there.
yeah,
You're pretty sure some of it is going to end up
well,
in
for the
right place.
PowerPC Max, you have to draw the Apple logo with the stripes, in it. And if it's anything above a G4, or if it's a G4 of a certain age, you have to do the Apple logo, but you have to make it all silver. Like there's very intricate patterns you have to do.
I heard you don't need thermal paste. You can just fill a Ziploc with ice and set it on top of the processor.
That works.
Dan, this is your next tech talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
And just
Kate-
remember, everyone, solder paste and thermal paste, totally interchangeable.
yeah. So Kate goes, she blurred out the thermal paste application in her video.
Yeah, she did. And I've seen other
So
people do
good.
that too. I enjoy that more than what, because you know what the person's doing. I mean, if you're watching these channels, you know
It's
what
kind
they're
of like people like Bruce that remove a CPU and kind of do it off camera.
Yeah, I know. Everyone is going to complain. Well, actually, this goes back to my very first appearance on MacYak when I did that video on discharging a CRT.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why I had held off doing that video for such a long time was because I just knew that people would say, you're doing it wrong. That's not how you discharge a CRT. You're supposed to plug it in. You're not supposed to plug it in. You're supposed to connect to ground to here. You're supposed to connect it to there. You're supposed to wait. I just knew it was going to happen. And so I actually prefaced that video. I said, I am doing it based on Apple's own guide for discharging a CRT. So if I have any complaints, take it up with Apple. All I'm doing is passing on this information to you. And sure enough, like within, I don't know, a day or two of that video being released, someone comes into the comments saying, you shouldn't connect it to the ground, shouldn't connect it to there, you'll blow up a chip on the analog board or something like that. It's just like, someone will always be on there saying your soldering iron's too hot, your soldering iron's too cold, you're doing it wrong. It's always going to happen.
I
Well,
found
you always
footage
got
on my
those-
phone from last year. Last year, I recorded a video about Apple's application of thermal paste and how I believe you should apply it. And I found it by browsing my videos because my phone was full, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, I never published that. So I'm going to re-record that and publish it.
Hey, an interaction on YouTube is an interaction, whether it's a spam comment, a thumbs up, or a thumb down. That's an interaction there. So,
Well, I
Speaking of
mean,
thumbs up. What's going
Yeah.
on, people?
yeah,
Yeah,
smash the
no.
like thing. Do the
that
thing.
like thingy.
The thing. The thing.
Do what you have to do.
Dude.
Yes. No, but on my open core video, which actually has a lot of views on it, I've had people sit there and say, the video's too long. And I said, I did this live. I didn't do this.
No,
Like,
see, that's
You
that's
know?
your problem, GT.
Yeah.
You're explaining to people that you don't have to.
no, I
explain
never,
it to them.
I never explained it. I never said anything. But I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I did this live. I didn't do this as a
People
edited
don't
video.
understand
Yeah.
technology. I release a scripted video. I do a YouTube premiere. I do a live stream. I have people ask, "Wow, you did that camera transition quick." I'm like, how would I get to there in like 2 seconds? This is an edited
Magic.
video.
Magic.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand, all that stuff. But your video's too long to learn how to battery.
That's I have an idea. I'll tell you guys after the show. Oh, that's good.
David actually met a YouTube troll in person.
That's the new one right there. Learn the battery.
Yeah, am I the only one who was told to their face by a fan that my videos were too long?
I think so, yeah. Hold the title.
Was he talking about your live videos or your?
Well, see, that's the thing. There's no distinction between the two.
Exactly,
And Sean, being the kind gentleman that he was just like, yeah, but have you seen X video? It's like, yeah, thank you, Sean.
Well, here's a question now. Between you and Bruce, who has the longest live stream?
Oh, Steve, by hands
Probably.
down. He's got an 8-hour live stream. I mean,
I don't even know what I was thinking. Like when I stop streaming, like the brain dump is just like all the information is gone. I have no recollection of what I did, and then the next day I'm like, what the hell was I doing for air? Oh, okay.
I mean, mine for probably a bit over 4 hours would be about the longest one that I've done. But yeah, just there's no comparison.
It's different for everybody, but I do not show up at a live event, a live stream, expecting perfect production and no delays and stuff like that. I know Bruce can recap a board in 10 minutes if he wants to. He actually has a video, the fastest recap ever. But doing it live, you interact with your audience.
Mhm.
It's a hangout. You're hanging out with people.
Yes.
That's the whole thing of a live event. The same with a premiere.
So
You get to
Jay,
hang out.
you got to do a video using a puck mouse for 24 hours?
Yeah, I could put a camera on my desk and you just see my hand pucking around.
That's gonna get the highest views. There you go.
Your hand pucking around. I like that.
It's like how I think it's Finland, they have that TV channel that's really popular where it's like 8 hours on the front of a train, or like 10 hours of women knitting, like just videos of stuff happening for like 8 hours.
I mean, hey, there's when we were all locked in our homes, there was a lot of hey, what else is on type of situation going on there, and
I mean, one of the live streams that I did recently, which is the part one of the Mac Classic video, which I had, probably more viewers watching that than any other live stream I've ever done. You're at the 4-hour mark, and you're looking up, there's still 60 people watching.
yeah,
And you're sort of sitting there thinking, someone's enjoying it. I mean, it's like, I feel like I should stop, but there are still 60 people watching.
and that's when you question yourself, Bruce. It's like, well, I am no longer enjoying this. So do I want to continue?
I need to go to the bathroom.
But there is one of us yackers here that constantly asks, who's streaming?
Oh, yes.
No, Jay. That would be this guy, right?
Jay is the one that stirs the pot. Bruce could be in bed still, just waking up, and Jay's like, "You streaming it? What do you stream, Dave?
Like, oh no, I'm slammed with work and I haven't received my capacitors yet. And then an hour
So
later,
Jay's like,
my
come on,
capacitor,
where's my
Jay?
stream? Where's my
When you
stream?
One of the problems that we have is the fact that because of the time zone difference, when Jay is ready to sit down and watch a stream, he's had his dinner, he's parked himself in front of the computer, he wants to watch a live stream, maybe get a little bit of work done while he's watching it, is right in the middle of my work day. So I am not, I might have meetings, I might be in the middle of a big project. I am not always in the, sort of in the position where I can actually just go in and start live streaming.
Yeah, there it is. Jay's our internal Mac-Yak troll.
It's painfully obvious.
Without me and my brilliant ideas, y'all wouldn't even have the view hours to be monetized.
Oh.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Why don't we loosely tie this back into the topic?
What was the topic?
Trolls.
Oh,
something about
trolls
bridges and
bad
trolls.
comments and stuff like that.
But see, Kate brought us back into perspective here,
Thank you, Kate, for keeping us on track.
Yes.
Jay may look like he's in a regular house, but he's actually in an elaborate structure underneath a bridge right now, just waiting to quiz people.
No, he's like, where's the puck mouse? You have to have a puck mouse to cross this bridge.
It's like, tell me what year the iMac G3 was introduced.
What revision of the blue and white fixed the IDE issue?
The Mac Troll.
I should start a new channel, the Mac Troll.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, Jay's like copywriting that Mac Troll.
I'm sure it's already taken, unfortunately.
I'm just going to take videos of the Mac Yackers and play them on the side while I comment on them and just troll the hell out of them.
All right, guys. So we about reached the end of our show. We actually went over our scheduled time, but
how about that?
Yeah, we always go over, so we never the same. Guys, we do have a Discord channel, so the Discord link is right there. Somebody can post it in the channel.
All trolls will be banned immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you go check that out. We also have a website. It's mac-yak.com. Check it out. We have a lot of good content there. We need to put some more on there, I think, but we'll start getting more stuff on there pretty soon.
It's a Webista.
Webista.
Yeah.
It's a Webista.
So, also make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification. We only do this live once a week, but now we are actually starting to put some little small stuff out that we take out of the chats that we have, and we make that as a non-live video.
Our most notable and memorable pieces of the show we put out for you to see again and again and again.
We need a compilation of all of Mike's cats just like getting in front of the camera. That'd be a great one.
On the mic.
Yes. So make sure you
dedicate 45 hours to that editing.
Well, Dan, you're not doing anything. You can...
make sure you hit that subscribe and that bell button, and also make sure you smash that like button. I see 20 likes, and how many we got watching? 28 watching. So,
come on.
Yeah, some people.
We're not ending this until you like it. Come on.
We're just going to sit here.
Yeah, we're going to sit here.
Yeah.
Smash that like button.
I thought we were going to sit there quietly, but
yeah, I got my best poker face going on, and then bam, video.
Anyways, guys, you guys got anything going on the next week or so before we end this tonight?
I might do another stream or something.
I'm going to stream this weekend.
And since Dan is our guest, you got anything new coming out soon on your channel?
Yeah, so new videos every Saturday. There may or may not be some gaming happening on an Apple III monitor soon. Cough, Steve. But, oh, there it is. Actually, there it is. Anyway, also, please check out my channel. I mean, Canadian Computer Collector is the title, and we do funky stuff every week.
When is the next episode where you torture your brother?
Oh, very soon. Actually, he just bought his first Mac today. He bought a first-gen Mac Mini that is quite rough.
But that's the G4 one, yeah?
This is actually, it might. You know what? I'm not sure if it's first gen Intel or first gen PowerPC, but he says it rattles like a maraca, so that's not a good sign.
That's a promising sign.
Yeah, but I think he's picking up a G4 iMac like complete set tomorrow, so I'm going to start getting him into doing more restos and cleanups and stuff.
He's caught in the bug because of you. You infected him.
I think so.
Are you just getting him infected so you can use his living room as storage space?
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
You know, it's terrible.
That's the
I bought
grin
a
of
third
guilt
shelf.
right there. I got you.
I don't have
And
any room.
just quick mention that the video that that Dan released last weekend was actually a compilation of a lot of his older videos, and I have to say that made me want to go and watch more of your older videos because I was in stitches.
Good,
so,
good.
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
you know, he pulled the highlights. There's a lot of boring. Let me just say
A
that.
lot of burping, or
You know, I'm really trying to cut back on that. I know that's going to break Dana's
That's
heart,
like
but
499 of your subscribers are there for that.
I just know that, like, when a time comes later on, if I'm trying to be professional, they're going to be like, "Wow, you really burp a lot."
No, the one clip that'll get in front of somebody is just going to be you going.
What was it like? Oh yeah, I was just thinking. It's like the whole slow motion and everything. That's how you really amplify a burp.
But you're hooking a future generation here, Dan. It's not about us. My 5-year-old is in tears when you burp. So he's your future audience.
You need a
Well, that's
playlist
good.
of
That's
carbonated versus non-carbonated.
You know, I love my bubbly water.
Yeah, there you go. So that's an idea for you, Dan. A free idea for you. You're going to have two versions of your videos. The Patreon versions will have your burping or whatever platform you put that on. That'll be your burping videos, and then the
This is
public
brilliant.
ones will have no burps. And so you have to set it up as like, look, if you want the burps, you got to give me a little extra here. Because water ain't free.
give me something.
But at that point, we're only like, you know, one step away from just a burping OnlyFans. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, whatever brings in the money.
Like, did he say anything in this video? Just half an hour
It's just going to be the Apple III monitor with a camera plugged into it, and it's going to be a digitized version of you just going, "Bleh," and that's
I think
$50 a month. There you go.
we might be drifting off topic.
No,
right?
that's fine. The people want to hear it.
Enough.
All right. I think Mike is trying to tell us.
Subscribe to Dan's channel. Do the thing.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, guys. So that's it for the evening. Glad everybody could join us, and we'll see you guys again next week. So